let me get to my board docs agenda here. Hold on. Thank you. Okay. So this meeting is called to order, and this is the May 11th, 2022 Board of Trustees for the Pasadena Area Community College District. And this is the Facilities Committee. And our first order of business after call to order is, well, we can do a roll call, yes, or do we need to bother? It's not necessary on my behalf, so we'll skip the roll call and we'll start out. Do we have any public comment on non-agenda items?
I do not believe so.
Okay, and then we're going to move on to agenda item 3, which is approving our minutes of the last meeting. And we may have a logistical issue here. I've looked at the minutes, they're fine. John, you did not attend and Tammy did. So I don't know if we can approve and second those as a technicality. Maybe we hold this over to the next meeting.
Yeah, I think that's probably the easiest. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can tell you the minutes are fine and they do reflect what we discussed, but we'll hold off on approving those until we have both Tammy and I are able to approve those. Okay, let me go to our next item. Okay, now we're moving on to agenda item B, which are information items. There's 2 of those, and that's the primary reason we're meeting. So item B1 is the Seraphian project update, and I'm going to turn that over to Candace, Richard. You guys tell me, take over from here.
I'm going to share screen, and Richard is going to walk us through our update.
Good afternoon. So we had a shovel dirt turning event there. So we're off and running. What we're looking at over the next 60 days on Seraphian is mobilization and submittal phase on the various materials that we're going to be using on the project. So PCL has mobilized and has brought trailers on. We're working on our critical submittals so that we can meet our milestones. And that's going to be some of the bigger things, concrete, steel, and exterior and interior finishing. We're working on the building information modeling. That is an overlay of the multi-floors and how all of the internal mechanical, electrical, all those interface with the building components so that we find out if we've got a wall where something is supposed to be going through, and we get that. We have a DSA kickoff meeting tomorrow, and we're also meeting with the grading contractor early next week. They'll start with the rough grading. We do have an over-X in compaction, and I think we're a little over on soil. It's going to be a little bit of an export job. And then offsite steel fabrication will begin in June, and then our foundations will be off and running in July. So we're hoping to be out of the ground before we get to the rainy season and well into putting up the structural frame of the multiple stories. So that's where we're at with Seraphian. I do have a couple other bullet points. Jim, question?
Yeah, look, before we move on to the other item, I just actually not a question, but a comment. And Candace, if you could just scroll up a bit. I just wanted to say I'm glad to see that we're going to do BIM, building information modeling. That is going to be really, really helpful to identify conflicts now and not later. So I'm glad you're doing that ahead of time.
Yeah, but we've seen that in the last 10 years. It's become commonplace. It used to be on just the really larger jobs, but we're really starting to see it as commonplace. And it kind of gets facilitated with the way we're electronically transmitting plans and using Bluebeam with DSA. So it really comes together. A lot of the more sophisticated projects will actually do real-time interface So as something changes out in the field, it's actually updating the electronic versions of the plans with the architects. I don't know if we're going to have that support from Canon. We'll see where we go as we go on. Because we did lose our main architect. He retired. Vince Petito left, and so we're now getting a new art. Well, not a new art, but a new project architect. So that's where we're at with that. Any other questions on Serafian? Did you want a quick general overview of where we're at in the rest of the campus too?
Yeah, Richard, I looked at our meeting minutes from our last meeting, and there was a whole bunch of other projects that you went through at that time, and it would be good to get an update on those as well.
Yeah, so I think the biggest one that has caused us all consternation would be Del Mar landscape. So Tammy shouldn't be getting any more phone calls. We completed Del Mar landscape. There's a couple other projects that need to be done on Del Mar, but as far as the greening project goes, we're right now in the post-planning phase. So for the next 30 to 60 days, the contractor is watering, replacing any plants that did not survive transplanting, but we're pretty much good to go out there on Del Mar. So that's been completed. Galloway Plaza, in the master plan, we identify a new food service area, because I guess food court doesn't sound regal enough, so I won't use that term. But we are at a conceptual design completion, and so the next thing is we'll be meeting internally a little bit. We did get a little bit of scope creep from probably what was originally envisioned in the FMP. We were looking at a multi-story building, but that will also allow us to give interior seating to students, which will be good because then we can try to keep them from wanting to go into the library with food. So Galloway Plaza, the design is initial design is completed. We're starting with programming on our buildings. Both those are existing and new buildings that were identified in the FMP. So basically, we're trying to figure out where everybody's going to kind of go when we bring on like STEM and when we bring on Serafian. How does that all integrate with our master plan, and what programs are going to, where we're going to end up with those programs and what buildings, and kind of where that shuffle will go. Mirror pools, we have, yes, John.
I got a question back on Galloway.
Yes.
So, I've kind of had an eagle eye for watching the total design of the area, campus too, but I mean, especially that area and Serafian, and especially Serafian. So have we seen the latest conceptual design for the food service that you've been discussing, and how it fits with the rest of the campus?
Yeah, we have, I've shared up to Erica. I don't think Candace I don't know if we have a copy we could share. I could probably dig one up real quick of the architectural rendition. It meets the campus architecture. That was a critical component. We did have a committee of not only myself, but Darlene Inda from Business Services. And we also had Bobby Abrams from the foundation that kind of sat in these initial conversations. It is in the round, so to speak, to match that radius or that diameter of circle in Galloway, to give it that same kind of feel. And it came out, it's very, I guess the words that were used, elegant on the second floor. And then the first floor would be, more of the service and seating for students. And then there was also, we ended up initially designing in a basement level for the food prep and storage. If I can't.
Well, you're describing what a beautiful woman looks like to me.
Yeah.
And I'll take your word for it, but then again, you could share a picture.
We could probably find a picture. Do you think you have one?
Just saying.
Richard?
Yeah, and I think speaking for John, but also myself, because we had the same issue on the Serafian building. And Candace and Richard, I don't remember if that preceded you or not, but they gave us a building design. It wasn't horrible, but it didn't fit in with what I call the 1920s, 1930s Art Deco look of the C
Yeah.
building and the reproduction of that in the Shatner Library, et cetera. And we'd really like to continue that theme architecturally to the Galloway Plaza. Did I say that correctly on your behalf, John?
You said it as usual better than I could have said it on my behalf, Jim. So
So I'm going to defer to my boss, who's an IT wizard. I just sent her the email, and I believe it's the second PDF that's attached.
Okay, giving it a moment. Oh, got it. And
I think that's actually the cost analysis.
gotcha. I gotcha. Let me share my
Is it
screen.
the first one?
Yes.
Yes, the first
It has a photo and it has Galloway on top of it.
Galloway Plaza Cafe presentation.
Oh, the presentation. That's what you want me to show?
Yeah, we could run through it. I think that would probably be so that was the first PDF.
All right, my friend, I got you. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Good. All right. Richard, just let me know when you want me to stop.
So we did the initial programming on this. What was the sun study? Where we're at. We told them about the architectural details. You can go to the next one, Candace. Then we talked about, elegant music, functional views. These were kind of some of the words they heard from the stakeholders. We can go to the next one, Candace. So then they started coming up with some of their other architectural projects and elements. We can go to the next one. And we can go one more. So then we started programming it within the Galloway Plaza, and you can kind of see the footprint. We can go to the next one.
okay,
Candace.
well, I see the plaza, obviously.
Yeah.
Is the dark area, is that the footprint?
Correct. You can see it's a circular.
Yeah,
and then
okay.
It's got two wings. Those are the stairwells on either side. It will
Okay,
have an elevator
alright.
and stairwells.
Okay. With a little bit of a flat top
So,
there. Yeah.
so here's the basement level with the mechanical room and the storage, cold storage and dry storage. And the next level, so this is the study lounge and food concession area. And then the top floor would be the event area. There's your second floor, the event area. And that's the roof. So this is a conceptual view of the interior of the second floor for the event area. And that would be looking down to the Boone Sculpture Garden. This is to the south, and you can see parking lot 5 and actually where Serafian will be. This is kind of your exterior elevation.
Yeah, I think this is the part that John and I are most interested in, are the exterior elevations. And I think this looks good. And I assume that this is going to follow the color scheme of the green grid with the
Correct, with the glazing. It will tie in with Shatford, and it will tie in
Awesome.
with Serafian and the C building.
Great.
A lot of glazing, a lot of open light, inviting.
That student looks like David Ramirez.
Yeah.
It looks really beautiful. Is there any kind of picture of what it would look like?
The outside.
Yes, against Shatford or against Serafian or, yeah,
Is that better for you? John?
yep, something like that, maybe.
So that would be, this is looking back this would be south elevation, or this is the southwest looking north. So Shatford is over on the right-hand side. Or excuse me, I was backwards.
Yeah, I got it. I kind of figured out where that was.
Okay, and there's your conceptual of it
Yeah.
sitting with Serafian.
That's the final one of that. Did you want me to show the second document too?
No, the second one was more, it was
Okay.
a whole lot of numbers and programming.
I think this particular view is the best way to look at this and see how it's going to fit into the surroundings. And I am not an architect or an architectural critic, but I don't really see the connection architecturally between the other three buildings around it. You know, it's, and I know it's a circle and these other buildings are rectangles, but I guess perhaps I was looking for that pattern with the window pattern and then the wall and so forth. That's kind of the Art Deco theme.
Well, the glazing, some of the other presentations, what we saw, yeah. So it does give it, it's a little more modern, I guess, than a standard Art Deco, but it was with the glazing, with the grids of the window treatments that we have.
Yeah, so I'm sure that you want to have as much open glazing and views around, whereas those other buildings, you know, they have walls and glazing.
The idea is, you know, it's a small space, and to make it feel larger, there was a lot of the glazing was brought in so that you could, you know, it's more open feel.
Yeah.
And I think the component of sort of adding sort of the intentional direction in terms of the foundation and the events and sort of like that elegant and like having that top sort of opened area that can be the event space where we can do some fundraising activities. I think that's also what helped to drive some of the consistent with our current approach, but sort of like stepped up a little bit.
So John and Jim, because I wasn't here for the issue around Serafian, when you look at this building, is it not seeing kind of the colors filled in, you know, with the way that we do the glazing in the other buildings? Is it not seeing like the Art Deco pattern at the top? Are there things that would make you feel more comfortable about it at the space?
Well, I'll try to comment on that.
Okay.
Let's see. So, you know, what we've seen in a lot of campuses is, you know, they started with a certain architectural pattern depending on when those campuses were started. And then it tended to happen in the 50s and the 60s. They tended to veer away into buildings that just were completely different and not harmonious. And architects don't like to just do reproductions of old architecture, but they do like to, what we would like to see is something that is derivative. So for example, when you look at the C building and you look at Shatford, you can tell that Shatford is a newer, more contemporary design. It's not just a straight out reproduction from the 1920s Art Deco, but it has enough elements of that in there that it's continuing the theme, albeit in a more modern design. And so I'm not suggesting that we have to do something that looks exactly like the C building because
Uh-huh.
hey, that's rectangular and this is round. But I would like to see, like, if you just look at this view, or if you go back to that other view, where you saw it in the midst of those buildings surrounding it, that view, I think the themes you get there, and Shatner's in the back on the left there. But I think the themes are the vertical striping with the windows, with the cement or whatever the exterior material is in between. And I know you're going for an open look here. And then you have the vertical band, and then down at the bottom, you have in between the floors, really, or at the base of the floor, you have these solid green areas. That's the common theme. And you can do that and still have great views, because where those solid bands are in between the glazing bands, it's basically, I'm going to call it the wainscoting, or the floor to floor. So you're not giving up a lot of view at all, because it's just at the base of the floor, and it's at the very top of the ceiling of the building below, of the floor below. So you could have that look that you see there, and you're still going to have exceptional viewing from both the first and the second floor. Now the bands in between, that wood of solid building material in between the glazing, that would make it less of an open all the way around view. I just don't, again, it just doesn't have to be exactly like those buildings. And what was done at Serafian, I think, is a good example. That building is a modern interpretation of that same theme. But I don't see much of anything at all that is thematically consistent with the other 20s era buildings and the reproduction, the more modern interpretations of that. I don't see very little of that in terms of shape or color or anything.
So Jim, how about I do this? I will go back to the architect. We'll pull the front of Shatford, which has a round. We also at the bookstore is round, and also planetarium is also round buildings. Let me get this in the color scheme, because I see we're seeing a lot of whites here. I understand. So let me go back to the architect, get it in the color scheme, and maybe get a collage of those three other round buildings, and maybe have them look at it a little bit more to make sure. That was our thing, is we told them to take a look at the Shatford. There may be another rendition. This was just the latest one I could grab, and this says 427. I know we've met since then. So let me come back with maybe those three other buildings or those three other frontages comparatively. And then I wrote down the word derivative theme. So just where they came, where the other stakeholders came up with elegant and open, I will go back with the architect with derivative theme.
And again, if you go back to that prior elevation, I think that just points it out the best.
I just think I better chime in here too. First off, I think Jim has captured my thoughts perfectly. I agree with everything he just said. And, just seeing this for the very first time, so it's hard to know. I have less authority architecturally than Jim, but I will say, number one, it's a beautiful building, and I love them. There's a lot I love about it if it were in a standalone location.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the openness, I like the glass, I like the round, I like you know, so much of what you've done, it's really fantastic. However, honestly, it looks like an advanced civilization from another planet landed in the middle of campus and in their ship and are out exploring what, you know, quality education is or something. I mean, it's so different. It is just so different from everything around it. That was my reaction, and I don't mean to be cruel, but it looked like some fantastic civilization with something that really knows what they're doing just landed in the middle. So
And,
I totally agree with Jim that I sure wish there was some way to blend it in a little better with
Yeah,
the beauty of what we have there already.
yeah,
Well, the great thing is this is just conceptual drawings. I mean,
Yes.
that's the phase we're in. We're not, nobody's putting the structural drawings into play yet, nothing. This is just, we're just opening the conversations. Like you said, this is dated 4/27. So it's just a couple weeks ago. I've written down, I do like your terms, and I may be brutal to the architect. The fantastic civilization landed their alien spaceship. I may borrow your.
Take it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I feel that way because I feel
No,
bad
that's-
saying it, but
This
that
is
really, I'm
recorded.
like,
We could just
you
share.
get back there and you have all this, you know, these buildings that take you back into history and time and forever, and
Sure.
you know, they bring like the knowledge of everything that's happened on the planet since the beginning, and then we have something from another planet that just says we're ahead of you.
Got it. We'll try. So I'll go back and we'll try to find that common ground.
Yeah.
I also get a collage.
Yeah.
I'll get them working again on, you know, like I said, we do have some other round architecture here. The
Yeah.
bookstore.
Yeah, round's okay.
Our most historic building, actually, O&P, the Observatory and Planetarium, is in the round. And then the front of Shatford has that round.
Absolutely.
Right, so
And
I
your
will-
layout with the, you know, the two rounds with the river between them over on the in the court area of the plaza, you know, it's kind of a neat design there. So I haven't got nothing against round or even round with wings.
yeah, I think,
Well, it's unfortunate, you know, we gotta, you know, I've got to maintain stairwells.
You
and
gotta have that,
emergency
yeah.
egress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And there is an elevator tower, and we tried to make that, at first it was very prominent in their first drawing, and we tried to tone that down
The
a little.
stairways can't, for example, I'm just asking, they can't circle up like around somehow, or it blocks too much view. Is that the problem? I'm just asking, you know, so it's not with
Sure,
wings.
sure. I don't think I'm gonna get, in order to get the rise on and run on the steps, I mean, they would have.
It's gonna go all the way and block everything kind of thing? Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm sure they had a reason. Yeah, because it's a relatively smaller space, and so, yeah.
Sure. Any other questions on that one?
no.
Okay, good.
I think the round shape is fine. This is more about finished materials. And let me also say, I'd like to give the architect, you know, complete freedom on the interiors. I'm more focused on how
Exterior.
the exterior of this building, you know, synthesizes with our existing. And Richard, I'll be honest with you, some architects hate to do that. They hate that. They don't want to do something that's derivative of something that's been done before. They want to just do something that's new and completely different. But, you know, we're not doing this for the architect. We're doing it for the
College.
the community and the campus and the students and the faculty. And I really think the idea of trying to do something new, and the roundness will be different, and that'll be nice. I'm not sure about the dome on the top either. Let's look at how we finished off the tops of like the circular area on Shatford.
Sure.
And isn't the Freeman Center, does that have a rounded front? I can't remember.
Yes, it
Yeah,
does.
it does. Yeah.
And it follows this theme. Just kind of look at those buildings and see if we can get some of those thoughts and elements in there. And you know, and it will be different. It'll be round, and we do want it to be like have lots of open views. You know, for example, maybe there's a way to minimize or eliminate those columns in between the windows, but still get that flavor, or make those columns really minimal. They don't have to be as fat as they are on the older buildings.
So,
Or- Yeah.
yeah, so structurally, they do have some interior columns, and they could translate that into an exterior. I was fighting with them too about, you know, I had a couple mechanical duct shafts that they had strategically placed within the view to the south. So it won't be a surprise for us to have some more comments on that. No, I appreciate the feedback. I will pass it on. Like I said, this is all just the conceptual phase. We'll come back with something at our next facilities meeting that hopefully will
Thank you.
tie in better with the
Yeah.
architecture.
And
So I'm going to move to the next one, which is we do have the architect on board for the mirror pool. I'll just call it revitalization. So nothing's going to change there. The pools, we're trying to rehabilitate the original pools that are there, although they've been worked on a couple times. They've actually, I think the architect says we've poured in about 8 inches of concrete in those pools from their original design. But we're talking basically on that is just a updated filtration system, which I'm trying to put under the C building. Stairwell, there's a big mechanical a room that we would convert to a mechanical room so we could get state-of-the-art chemical injection and filtration on them. We were talking about a lighting element and basically maybe a water feature that doesn't have to be on it all the time, but that could be on at certain events, because I know the foundation, I know we use that area in the front for a lot of the events with foundation and the scholarships and different things. I think we just had Latinx out there at graduation.
Yeah.
We used the front. So it is used, and we thought we'd get it, you know, spice it up a little bit, make it a little fun, but architecturally they're going to stay the iconic mirror pools. Just to
yeah,
get
and you know, Richard, the sound of splashing water is magical. It's hypnotic.
Yes, it is.
And yeah, if you want to get some water, you know, fountains or whatever, and lighting, I think it could be quite dramatic and still keeping the original, you know, shape of the mirror pool. That could be really something.
Yeah, this firm, they, the West Group, they in their presentation, you know, we did a best value. In their presentation, they had done Long Beach. They'd done a number of rehabilitations. They did some, you know, they had some fantastic projects that they showed, and that's how we selected them out of the batch of 4 architects that had submitted. So we're looking forward to getting moving on that.
I'll say that, like, I'm not sure if we're talking, I can't even think if they're presently lit at night. And I'll just say,
They're not.
obviously totally different scope here, but we redid the lighting on our backyard pool, and our little house kind of goes around the pool a little bit. And it's better at night than it is during the day. It's
Yeah.
stunning what a little bit of LED light
Yeah.
can do. And I could see where if those were, you know, lit at night to, you know, the right level.
And getting rid of the mechanical piece that's between the 2 pools. I mean, it's such an eyesore, like it ruins that iconic look. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get that all cleaned up and get it so it's modernized, where you can come in and plug in for the events and the AV that they need.
Yeah, so Richard, what we want there is like the Bellagio.
Yeah.
Ah. Yeah, not in
Yeah.
drought-ridden California. No.
The other
But I
thing
will
that
tell
came,
you, this, so everyone knows, a swimming pool or a mirror pool like this actually uses less water than the equivalent area if you had grass in there. So it's actually,
Oh, yeah, I believe that.
it's a water saving mechanism to have a pool
Yeah.
effect versus a grassy lawn.
so that's kind of a little bit on the mirror pools. The last thing that I would like to say is that we're continuing to work on designing and developing what we call shovel-ready projects for the upcoming bond initiative. So we do have a number of deferred maintenance projects that I'm working on that I'm getting through the design phase. Lot 4 and 5 both need some rehabilitation and some work. We're doing the remainder of the campus. We're working on the roofing. So we're going to finish up roofing, so we'll be good. Both campuses will be, we did CEC this last year. And so we still have about half the buildings on main campus that we'd like to come back in and do roofing on, and then we'll be good on roofing. We're working with our designers and our electrical engineer on starting to look at all the infrastructure projects that we need to do for the next 50 to 75 years. So
Great.
that's about it. Any other questions for me?
No, hey, Richard, thank you for that very thorough report.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And just a word, $2 difference between Ohio and here per gallon of gasoline.
No kidding. Oh, yeah, you picked up your sweet new car.
Yeah.
How was it?
Great. It's like an old friend. I bought a 2008 limited edition Shelby Cobra and bought it in Ohio and just drove back. I just got in last night. So 13 states and 3,000 miles.
Wow. That's
And
awesome.
which state had the cheapest gas, Richard?
I'm going to say it was a toss up between Indiana and Wisconsin. Those were all, I think I started out somewhere around 390 for premium, right around Indiana. And then I think when I was in South Dakota, I was in the low 4s. I did not hit the low 5s until Salt Lake. And our friends in Utah were complaining, and I was saying, I'm still dancing because it's under $6, you know. But everybody you talk to was like, oh my God, they couldn't believe how much gas had gone up in their regional area.
So Richard, which state was the most expensive state you drove? No, wait a minute. Don't answer that.
Don't
Yeah.
answer that. We know the answer.
Don't answer that.
Yeah. Welcome home to California.
All right, and then we're gonna move on to item B2 now, right, Richard? Rosemead update. We're all done
Yeah.
with one. Okay.
And that's going to be Candace.
Candace, are you gonna lead us through that?
Yeah, I have a
Okay,
quick
great. Thank
quick
you.
update for you all, and we'll be able to give more details in closed session. So we were able to, 2 new properties came on the market last week. I got my weeks mixed up, but I think last week. And we got notice of these properties coming up, one on Las Tunas in Temple City, and the second one off of San Gabriel and Rosemead that are really interesting. And so we're doing a little discovery work just to sort of help inform our initial conversation in closed session next week. With Temple City, our goal is to talk with the city because, you know, to make sure the interest in sort of permitting for educational use and what we're thinking and what our impact would be on that area in terms of traffic, that is in their desired. We feel confident about it, but we just want to sort of double check, and our realtor has some real deep relationships there. So we've started those conversations, and we know clearly Rosemead is very supportive of us finding another location in that area. So more to come. The property sizes, I think on the Las Tunas piece is like 1.13 acres. Property with some buildings on it. And then the San Gabriel, I want to say, is 1.3 acres of land. That one would be pure development for us in that area. So more to come, but it's really exciting. Literally, they came up in the last like 7 days.
Candace, what's our land area at the current PCC Rosemead for point of reference comparison to the acreage you just described?
I feel it's on par. I want to say it's a little bit, Richard, remind me, it's one.
I don't want to misspeak, but
Yeah, let us double
comparatively-
check. It's in comparison to what we were looking at in Arcadia, right?
Arcadia was larger.
Yeah, so that was like 1.7, 1.5, 1.7, something
But
like
that was also spread, that was the 3 buildings spread
It was.
out kind of
it was.
round. So if we had a different profile, that might be
Yes.
different,
And a
right?
building footprint would
Yeah.
allow. So we're again, Richard just came back.
Yeah, let us,
This is hilarious. This is news to him because he literally just got into the parking lot today. So he'll be pulled in with me on these conversations, but location wise, there's lots of bus stops right near both of the locations, which would make it really great. One of them has an adjacent parking lot that we might be interested in sort of making some relationships with. So more to come. We should be able to have more details to share next week. But I wanted to let you know that that was sort of popped up and we're really pursuing very quickly and diligently.
Candace, I'm not going to be at the board meeting next week, so if you wouldn't mind, let's see, I don't want to violate any Brown Act or anything like that, but I'd be interested to see that information when it's available. And again, I won't be at the board meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So we have focused our energies in that piece. There were some other things that came up in the other areas, but we just really wanted to figure out how we prioritize the loss of satellite campus in that current area.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Trustee
Are we
Martin,
all
you're so
set?
quiet.
Well, you've got me baffled. Like I'm thinking, what parcel on Las Tunas and Temple City is 1.3 acres, and there ain't many.
Yeah,
That'll
no,
be-
the one in Rosemead is 1.3, the one
Or
on
1.1, yeah.
1.15.
And there ain't many of those either.
No.
So you really
Good,
got
I
me,
can't
you
wait
got
to
my mind
surprise
spinning. I
you.
got a couple ideas of where you're going, but I'm not sure where you're landing. So
Okay,
you got me really on bated breath here for that one.
I can't wait to share.
And San Gabriel's a long street, so I'm not sure on that one either, but okay, well, I can't wait to hear.
Okay, great. So we have, let's move on to agenda item C is meeting schedule. When would it be timely to meet again?
What do you think is a reasonable amount of time, Candace and Richard, in terms of updating both from the property perspective, but also from the Seraphian and other kinds of perspectives?
I mean, we could potentially, I definitely want to make sure that we're regularly, now whether we just go every other board meeting might be a good cadence for us. So if we're off in June, maybe our next subcommittee
Mhm.
meeting could be in July.
Yeah,
Okay. And ideally, it would be the Wednesday before our July meeting.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
and our July meeting is, when's our July?
the 13th. It's
the
July
13th.
13th.
Okay. So let's shoot for the 6th. How does that look?
Well, so I'm gonna pop in here and say that the July 13th is the organizational meeting of the board. So usually the committees would get formed after that meeting, but if you want to have one more meeting from the 21-22 committee structure, I think you can do that. I just want to throw that out there, that we will be into a new academic year just before the organizational meeting.
Yeah, so
But I'm fine either way, just throwing it out there.
yeah, so our organizational meeting will not be a June meeting, it'll be July.
No, it'll be
Okay.
July because of the timing of the election.
Right,
Mhm.
right. Okay, yeah, the election itself is in time, but all the days after that. Got it.
Right.
Okay, so I can't speak for our future board chair because we don't know who that is yet. But I know when I was the board chair, we kept the committees in place, and it, it took me at least one meeting to get the new committees formed.
Okay, that's great.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So
I have on my calendar, June 8th, a budget and audit committee meeting.
that's a Friday, John.
No, it's
I'm
not.
sorry,
June
I'm
8th
sorry.
is a Wednesday.
We're in July, John.
Is that true?
No,
John?
he was asking about June.
Yeah, June 8th.
Yeah.
Do we really have a budget and audit meeting on
No.
June 8th for a particular reason? Like,
Yes, the tentative budget, which you all will need
Okay.
to approve on
Well,
the 13th.
it may
I'm
work
sorry,
out
the
well.
15th.
It may, I mean, at least for this committee where the members of this and facility happen to be the same, that we do the same twofer that we did today, where
Yeah,
even if it's a little quick,
yeah, we could do that.
We
hearing
absolutely
what's
can.
going on with, it's June 8th. Why don't we just
Yeah.
go bang, bang again and then
Yeah.
take it from there?
All
The
right.
only caveat would be the input that we've received on Galloway. We may not be able to act on all of that by that meeting, but we certainly
Yeah.
can give you an update as to where we are on that.
Okay,
Yeah, so, yeah, let's do a back-to-back at the budget and audits at 6, and so we could go at 5.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So if we can get that word out to our other committee member, Tammy. All right, and then item D is proposed future agenda items. And now we're talking specifically about a June 8th meeting. Do we need to have an agenda item for the bond initiative in this committee, or no? We just need to keep going over our facilities.
So we are going to schedule in that early July timeframe. That's what we'll talk about in closed session, some special board meetings for some study sessions on the bond. So I think we would
Okay.
do that separate than this meeting.
Yeah, I'm just, that's fine if it's separate. We need to get on the ballot in November. You guys know what the schedule is, so
Yes, sir.
let's stay right on top of that and make sure we're doing all the steps to set that up. And
Yes, I promise we
there's
have
something
you
we
covered.
have to do in August to get on the ballot. There's a deadline for that. You guys probably know what all of those deadlines are. Okay.
Yep, we're hoping for you all to make the call for the election at the July board meeting. And so we're wanting to do a study session right before that.
In the June meeting or in the July meeting.
The challenge with the June meeting is that we may have new board members that we have to bring up to speed. So we may have a special meeting that we invite participants to come before and to
Well,
share out the bond project list.
okay, our June meeting is going to be on June 15th, correct?
That
Yes,
is correct.
And on June 15th, the composition of the board will be the same as it is right now, correct?
That is correct. That
Yes.
meeting technically usually is devoted to the tentative budget presentation.
Okay, but if there's anything that we need to do in the June meeting to stay on schedule for a November ballot, let's schedule that in the June board
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that the timing is what's weird. We have to file the paperwork for the bond by August 12th. Our August meeting is August 10th. And so it's early in the month. So we do have that. Now that is probably cutting it too close. So my prediction is we might need a special meeting the beginning of August to get everything in a row.
We have August 10th is our August meeting.
Is your August meeting? Yes, it is because that actually worked out timing wise for
Okay.
one or more board members.
I don't have that on my calendar.
Because
Mary,
you
can you
Because you haven't
send me?
approved the calendar yet. But but I can make sure, I can't remember exactly when we give that to you. Mary, when do we make this known to the trustees, the calendar? Mary? I know we've worked on it and we've aligned it with the purchasing deadlines. But I don't recall if I think it's probably going to be on your June board meeting.
This is Alex. I think it is the organizational meeting where we set that calendar.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Alex. So that'll be the July meeting.
Yes.
Okay. Your point is we haven't officially set it on August 10th, but that's what we're going to do.
That's what we're headed towards. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. So do you want to approve the bond initiative language on the 10th? Or do you want to have a special meeting, or do you want to approve it on in the July meeting?
I think July, because we don't know what the composition of the board is right now. I think what we probably want to do is do something in early August, because we will know the composition, we will know the leadership of the board on July 13th.
Okay.
We have to follow the process.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I don't have any proposed future agenda items. You guys have done a great job of putting agendas together and bringing things to us when you need to present them to us. So continue to do that.
Okay, we can do
Yeah.
that. Well, Richard and Candace are quite the rock stars, so not a big surprise.
Okay. We're on to item E, which is adjournment.
Mm-hmm.
We're all set. We'll adjourn. Yeah. Thank you, Candace and Richard, for a thorough report as always. Thank you.
Yep, and we will see you in 6 minutes at the
Right.
budget meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Bye,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye.